Thank you for tuning into this video. My name is Gia. In this video, I want to talk about living our lives as empaths here on Earth and how to utilize our abilities as empath in ways that can help us recognize our gift and use it in our life mission, in our soul mission, rather than falling into that pattern of blaming ourselves or others, or into that pattern of separating ourselves from others. So empaths are basically referring to individuals that are quite highly sensitive. So they are able to experience deeply emotions, thoughts, and sensations of others and also ourselves as well. This sensitivity takes place on an emotional level where you're able to feel their emotions very strongly as if it's yours. On a cognitive level, so you kind of can recognize their thought processes and their belief system, and oftentimes that energetic field can affect our own energetic field, and as well as sensory experiences, so certain physical pains that they feel, or even sensory experiences from their emotions. Empaths are able to pick up on it and sometimes even experience it within our bodies. What's challenging is that many empaths are not aware of it when it's happening in that moment, because we tend to perceive these events as a part of their own experience. So what's important is to practice gaining awareness of when this is happening, because oftentimes it's common for empaths to have an interaction for an hour or two and suddenly come home feeling upset and angry or frustrated or stressed about something. And then they realize, oh, okay, this was happening and I was taking on their vibrational energy onto mine, and now it's affecting me in this way. Oftentimes, because of the lack of awareness that we have of the energetic field that's happening around us as empath, it's easy to fall into that pattern of making ourselves a victim, or blaming others, or blaming ourselves, or even isolating ourselves from other people, or creating this identity that we are different from other people, which often get in the way of our ability to experience oneness with other people and kind of play into this ego-based mentality. Like I mentioned, empaths are able to have deeper experience of energy of themselves and also of others. So they might experience pain of others, certain emotions of others very deeply as if it's theirs. And this ability is because oftentimes they're quite highly evolved. This means their energetic field is quite pure. They've been working on themselves for a long time. And also they are able to pick up on different energy frequencies because of their sensitivity level. So in a way, this means that they are quite intelligent energetically. It's that sometimes without that conscious awareness piece, where we can gain through practice and expanding of our awareness, it can be quite challenging or draining for a lot of people, especially if you're living in an environment that's lower frequency than yourself, or if you're surrounded by people or work environments even that do not really resonate with you. So one of the most important things to remind ourselves as empaths is that these empathic abilities are actually gifts, and they are with us because it is something that can help us with our soul mission. And with this in hand, we're able to expand more into oneness consciousness rather than separating ourselves from other people, identifying ourselves as different, or even falling into that whole negative emotional back and forth kind of thing. When we tune into other people's energy as potential for us to learn and practice our empathic abilities, it can be quite empowering. So I grew up in an environment where I did not really have personal boundaries. In a way, I wasn't allowed to have my own personal boundaries. So I live in a pretty close network of family members where we're very close together, at the same time very highly anxious. So I grew up believing that anxiety was actually myself. So because there was such an intermingled energy fields within our family. As I grew up and left home for college and built an independent life, I realized that energy of anxiety that was constantly around was not really me, but it was something that I was taking on, identifying with. So from this experience, I've learned the importance of differentiating my energy field and others' energy field, and also observe, self-study what it feels like when energy fields intermingle and how that changes my own frequency in that moment, how that even changed the way I think and even the way I feel about myself. And these studies are critical as empath in order to use our abilities to fulfill our mission, to guide others, to help others. And one way that I've learned to practice this was to kind of prepare ahead of time. So let's say that I'm about to interact with a family member that is quite negative per se, or tends to be negative usually. And this is not about setting up some sort of expectation of the negativity to come into my life, but it's just kind of becoming aware of that pattern. And from here, before I enter the interaction with that family member, I would think about a few ways to kind of shift that vibration if that lower vibration was to come forth in our interaction. So I would think of different topics that I can talk about so that we can shift that vibration. I could focus on different things that we can talk about that we both enjoy, for example. And this has helped for me to gauge and become more aware when two energy fields interact and the different things that can take place depending on what intention that we set in that moment. How I am affected, how we're affected by others, so that we can better understand how we react and how we respond to our environment. What's really helped me is to spend enough alone time so that I'm able to simply observe what I am like. So observe how my thought processes work when I'm feeling certain emotions and how they switch, the subtle switch that happens, and also what it feels like to be in a particular emotional state, what it feels like to have certain thoughts. So it's really about that building awareness of myself, my internal processing in my energetic field, because oftentimes when we are constantly with a group of people or other people, then our energy field is basically intermingled, and it can be quite challenging to differentiate what is actually a part of what I'm offering and what is actually part of what is being offered, as well as how to work through them. And there's a lot of compassion I feel for our empaths, because oftentimes empaths are born into families or environments that are operating at a different frequency as themselves. And it can be quite challenging to navigate through all the dense emotions and the dense interactions and that old stagnant belief systems that just don't make sense for a lot of them. And to navigate through that from a very young age, it can be quite challenging. What I've learned is to see these experiences as opportunity for growth. So oftentimes the family that we're born into or the environment that we spend quite a few years in prepares us to the next stage in life that can help us fulfill our mission, fulfill our purpose. And a lot of the wisdom and inner knowing and understanding that we gain through our interaction with others around us, we're able to develop our own unique way of working with them to guide them in their spiritual journeys. I think this perspective of compassion and oneness is a very important component to remember as empath, so that we're able to fully use our gift rather than being dragged into lower vibrational beliefs and separation. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, you can comment below, you can share your experiences, and thank you.